I think I've bought a little bit too much. Now, some of you guys may have been aware that for the last 2 weeks I was over in Japan for the first time in 5 years, and it was basically my chance as well to not only have a much needed holiday, but to get away from the channel for a couple of weeks as well. And why would you not want to when there are so many amazing things you can do in Japan, like climb Mount Fuji, get stuck into some delicious food? Me? I decided to go RPG hunting, so yeah, I am definitely winning at life. In all seriousness though, for RPG fans, Japan is an absolute goldmine for obvious reasons. And the way it ended up is that I went to Japan with 1 bag and I came back with 2. So it might give you an idea of how much I actually bought in the end. So I figured that we haven't done a merch roundup in a while, so I'm going to do all of the stuff before I went to Japan first, and then I'll do the stuff that I got while I was in Japan as well. And because there's so much to cover, and I do want to still be in my 30s by the time this video ends, any sort of limited edition, I'm just going to show the box and then show you an image of what's actually inside it. Because I'm pretty certain that if I did unbox everything, we would have discovered light speed travel by that point. So anyway, let's get started. First of all, there are some limited editions from Idea Factory, and these were sent to me by Idea Factory. I dare say they're not going to be sending me any more in the future, considering what I said about their games, but hey, you know, it is what it is. So first of all, Neptunia Sisters vs. Sisters. Didn't really think much about the game, but I will say, and this applies to all of Idea Factory's limited editions, really good limited editions in terms of what you get inside them and what you get as a pre-order bonus as well. This one here comes with your collector's box, you get a steel case, soundtrack, the game obviously, and an art book. And I think there's a trading card in there as well, like to kind of give each limited edition their own sort of individuality. So yeah, pretty cool. And also, Neptunia did come with this little desk mat as well, this rubber desk mat. Nice little item to put on your desk there, and yeah, that pretty much applies to all of the limited editions from Idea Factory. They all had like their own little specific item that they included with it as well. So next one was for Little Witch Nobita. Now I think this one is the best of the 3. First of all, the box art, I really love the box art anyway. It's quite sleek in terms of how it looks, and you get the same fare inside, so steel book, art book, game, etc, etc. But this one came with, instead of the desk mat, this little plushie. This little Nobita plushie, which I quite like, to be honest. I think it's quite cute. And also it came with this little letter here, which is sort of like a pop-up art of Nobita herself, so you got quite a lot of bang for your buck with this one. So yeah, well done Idea Factory, you did pretty well there. And then the last one I got was for Fairy Fencer F Refrain Chord. Again, wasn't too impressed with the game itself, but limited edition, pretty good once again. Love the box art, standard fare inside in terms of what the other ones had, but this one came instead with this sort of score of some of the songs that were in the game. Pretty cool. Not as good, I'd say, as like Little Witch Nobita or indeed Neptunia, but yeah, I mean, it makes sense in terms of what Fairy Fencer F was going for with the whole music angle. So it makes sense, I think, in terms of the context of that game. So good item. Now the next item on the list was, well, this one hurts a little bit because I'm pretty certain some people know what I think about the game now. But Loop 8 Summer of Gods. Loop 8 Summer of Gods, it wasn't even available in EU regions. I had to buy it from the American site, so I had to pay a little bit extra for shipping. The game itself, I mean, they got it so wrong, let's be honest. It just, don't get me wrong, there's probably some people who did enjoy it, but I'd say 9 times out of 10, this standard RPG player is not going to enjoy what Loop 8 has to offer. But in terms of its limited edition, it's quite nice actually. You get like a B2 tapestry, you get an art book, you get a soundtrack, and you get like this little enma in there as well. It's the kind of wooden plaque you see at Japanese shrines where people write down their wishes and then tie it to trees. That's quite unique, so I quite enjoyed that, quite like the idea behind that. Unfortunately, the game itself was an absolute flop, but hey, you can't have it all your own way. Now, next one was for the Atelier 25th anniversary, and this here was a box set of Atelier Ryza 1 and 2, and for whatever reason, this here, I saw it in Japan. It was super expensive, like stupidly expensive for what you get in there. So, what you get in this, you get this, obviously this box that holds the 2 games. You get your 2 games there, and then you get a mini novel, or a you know, a light novel and a microfiber cloth. That's all you get inside. This here came to about 20,000 yen in Japan, which I think when I bought it, it was about 70 quid, so it's gone up in value. But also I got a retailer bonus from the company that I bought it from. I can't actually remember who it was, but I got this little tapestry as well, which I'm going to show you guys as well, the full artwork of what that actually is. So that's a nice little item too, so yeah, quite happy with that. Anyway, next up on the list was a game that I was really looking forward to this year, and I'm playing it at the moment and having a great time with it too. Master Detective Archives Reincode. Now, Master Detective Archives Reincode from the creators of Danganronpa. It's not an RPG really, it's more a mystery adventure game than anything else, but a really good one at that. And I'm happy to always talk about games that I know RPG fans will enjoy. I am certain that people will enjoy Master Detective Archives Reincode. I mean, I'm about 7 hours into the game at the moment and having a really good time with it, to be honest. I wish it was on other platforms other than Switch, but you can't have it all your own way. Good game though, really shaping up to be a highlight from my personal year. And this limited edition, I got very lucky because I just went into my local game store while I was over at my mum's, and I was just going to buy the game, but then the guy at the counter said we got a random shipment of one limited edition for Master Detectives Archives Reincode, so do you want that? Sure enough, I bit his ankle off for that. And yeah, there's some really cool stuff in there, so very happy with that purchase. Now the rest of the merch, at least before I went to Japan, was pretty much all Falcom. So the first thing was Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus on the Switch. It recently released on the platform, and if you pre-ordered it, you got yourself the Tokyo Xanadu Complete Works soundtrack, which is like a 4-disc soundtrack of pretty much every song within the game, I believe. Very cool little item there. And because I ordered it from Big Camera, obviously these retailer bonuses and all that stuff, I got myself this really cool B2 tapestry of Rion, who is probably the most popular character in the game potentially. But yeah, pretty happy with that as well. Nice item. It wasn't actually that expensive as well. I think it came to about 6,000, 7,000 yen for the whole lot, which is maybe about £45 in this current market. But nice item. I'm happy I've got that because I don't actually have a physical version of Tokyo Xanadu anyway. Okay, next up were some limited editions. So first of all, back in March was Trails to Asia. Again, I'm always a fan of NIS America's limited editions. They're pretty much always the same in terms of what you get inside. So you get your little collector's box featuring artwork from the game. You get a steel book, the game itself, art book, B2 tapestry, and I'm pretty certain there's something else in there, soundtrack potentially as well. I might have repeated myself there, but really cool item. I have opened this one already because I did want to see what the steel book was. Very nice steel book, the same with Zero, and yeah, nice item there. The same holds true for the latest release in Trails into Reverie, where it's not going to be the latest release come summer of 2024, Daybreak Hype, but I must admit, this is probably my favourite limited edition outside of the Cold Steel Free one when NIS America first got the license. I personally really like the steel case in here. I think the B2 tapestry is very nice as well. And the thing is that this was actually provided to me by NIS America as well, which was very nice of them to do in the first place. But when they sent it to me, they sent it in a really big box, and I'm thinking to myself, why is the box so big? It was probably about like maybe that big in total. Why is the box so big for something like that? And the reason being is because they not only sent me the limited edition, they also sent me the plushies. So I think there was a plushie set of 3 for the 3 protagonists. So you had Lloyd, you had Reen, and you also had C. Now C was covered up in a plastic bag for spoiler purposes. Obviously I'm not going to open that for the sake of length and because I'm sure there are some people who haven't played Reverie yet, but nice little plushie set that you get with Reverie if you paid a little bit extra, or in my case I got very lucky and NIS America reached out to me, so thank you to them for doing that. Next item, well, I said the latest release in Trails into Reverie, but I guess if you really want to be like that, you can say Nyata Boundless Trails is the latest Trails game to come out in the West, but I mean, it's not really part of the series at present outside of some references, so I don't really consider it in the main canon of the series. And it looks like NIS America didn't really care about it too much either for the most part. It is a little bit different, a bit smaller than the other limited editions. You don't actually get a steel book in this one either, which is a shame because I consider that to be the best part of these limited editions. But there are some cool things in there. You still get your soundtrack, you still get, I believe, a tapestry and an acrylic stand, and you get this really cool outer sleeve as well. You know, you've got, I believe it's Noi. I honestly can't remember some of these other characters. It's been a while since I played Nayata, but I do like it. I do like the idea behind it. It is a shame about the steel case, but I'm very happy that I got it. And yeah, again, thank you to NIS America because they did provide me with this one as well. So again, they didn't have to, but they reached out to me and did so. So thank you very much to them. Now the next item came from Super Groupies. Super Groupies, they do a lot of collaborations with RPGs, and in this case they did a Trails themed one, and they did one for Reen, Altina and Estelle, and they did a watch and backpack set. Now I didn't go for the backpack, but I did go for the watch. This was the Altina watch. I was so happy that I got this. I was contemplating not getting it at first, but then I saw, I believe it was Orbology who got her one, or she reserved it, and that pretty much gave me the kick that I needed to get my own one, because I knew I was going to kick myself if I didn't get this. It's a very nice watch, really well designed and stuff like that as well. I personally will probably never wear it because I just want to keep it in immaculate condition, but hey, it's a watch, it looks great, and it is one of my favourite characters in the entire series, so I couldn't pass it up. But I do think Super Groupies are doing another wave now for Altina, Reen and Estelle as well, but I can't remember what they're doing. I think it's some wallets or something along those lines, but I probably will not get involved for that. But who knows, my mind may change. Now the last two items on the list were the figures, and I got two. I had to pass up on a couple of them, but I had to get one of my favourite character in the series in Ren. Of course I had to. I've seen a few people unbox theirs. She looks really, really good, I must say, in terms of build quality and the pose they decided to go with. And I'm very happy that they decided to do one. I did see this one in Akihabara as well. It was completely sold out, as was the other one as well. I mean, I got myself a garage kit of this character, so it stood to reason that I would also get the official version from Kotobukiya as well. This one was also sold out completely. It doesn't surprise me. Risha is one of the more popular characters in the series for several reasons, I'm certain. And yeah, still completely sealed. Haven't opened it up yet because I don't really have the space to do so, but it is there for when I do have my own space and I can actually get around to displaying this stuff. But yeah, that is the last part of the merch in terms of the stuff that I had before I went to Japan. So now let's get to the other stuff in terms of what I actually brought back from the other side of the world. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cover the games first, and then we'll kind of make our way up as they get more and more bulky. So, first thing I found was Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon. Well, I believe it's called Shadow Dragon in the West. Here it's called New Shadow Dragon and the Sword of Light, I believe. I definitely prefer the English version, at least in terms of, you know, less syllables to pronounce, but the DS version I believe was the 11th mainline title in the series, and it was a remake or a re-release of Shadow Dragon, the original Shadow Dragon. So this is the one that had Marth in it, who's pretty much the poster boy of the entire Fire Emblem franchise now. I found this at a random book off for 1800 yen, so I really couldn't pass up on that. Didn't really take up much space, so yeah, DS games a lot harder to come by nowadays. Wasn't going to pass up on that. Next up, well, I know it's the Japanese version, so it's not going to be as expensive, but hey, I wanted one for my collection. Valkyrie Profile, the original Valkyrie Profile on the PlayStation. This is complete in box as well, so it has the manual, it has the disc, and yeah, I mean, 480 yen. As compared to the Western version, which is about, what, 180 quid? 480 yen is about £3. Hey, again, I saw it at the book off, couldn't pass it up, took it immediately. Okay, next one. Now this one is fairly relevant considering its upcoming re-release in November, but Star Ocean Second Story for the PlayStation, and funnily enough, it says there's 3 discs in there. Now the reason for that is that when this game first released, it came with 2 discs for Star Ocean Second Story, but it also came with a demo disc for some sort of simulation game called Astronoka, which again was also published by NX back in the day. I don't know how that game did, but apparently quite a few people like it, so I thought that was quite interesting, a little bit of a window back into history right there. It came with all of the discs. I was wondering why there was a third disc in there. Sure enough, searching it up on Google pretty much gave me the answers. So, cool item to have, especially with Star Ocean Second Story R on the nearby horizon. Next up, a little SRBG here. Langrisser 1 and 2 for the PlayStation. Very cool item. I mean, like, obviously they got re-released back in 2018, I believe it is. 2018, 2019. And I mean, this one obviously uses the old art style, which quite a lot of people still like, that kind of 80s, 90s style, which a lot of people grew up with. And yeah, I saw it in, I believe it was a Surugaya. I saw it at the bottom, right at the bottom of the shelf. I couldn't pass it up. 1,800 yen, so still fairly expensive, but again, I wasn't going to pass it up. Small disc like that, can't really say no. And then next up, I found myself a Dreamcast version of Sakura Wars, the original Sakura Wars, which I believe were originally released on the Saturn, but I got the Dreamcast version. Very cool item. I mean, Sakura Wars, I love the new Sakura Wars anyway. Never got a chance to go back to the older ones, but I think I might have to do so in the future when it actually comes around. But again, 1,800 yen, not bad at all. They had a lot of Sakura Wars stuff there as well, like limited editions. It must have been really big back in the day. But I just got myself the physical media this time around for the first game. Maybe if I go out there again, I might even look to get some of the sequels. And now this one, I was very happy I found this one, to be honest, because again, it just got re-released as a remake for the 25th anniversary of the Atelier series. The original Atelier Marie on PlayStation, or Atelier Marie Plus, I believe it is. Came to around about just under 1,200 yen, which is about £6, £7-ish. Not bad at all. Boxed version of Atelier Marie. I found this on my last day in Japan. I decided to have one last foray into Akihabara, and I went to just some random shop on like the 7th floor of a tower block. And sure enough, I found it there. It's the only time I saw it as well. So very happy I got this, had to buy it. Loved Atelier Marie's remake, loved the Atelier series, cannot say no to that. Next up was Legend of Mana for 270 yen. I found this in a book off, the book off in Sapporo. Book off is basically like a second-hand store for trading cards and manga and, you know, loads of paraphernalia surrounding, you know, nerdy stuff and whatnot. For 270 yen, can't say no to that either. Now over to the Sega Saturn now. I was looking everywhere for a Panzer Dragoon Saga. Could not find it anywhere. I saw Panzer Dragoon, I saw Panzer Dragoon Spy, but what I also found was Grandia. Grandia, 900 yen, once again at a book off as well. Classic RPG from back in the day, can't really say no to that. A lot of people have a lot of fond memories of Grandia for good reason. So yeah, why not just get myself a physical version for my own collection? So what if it's the Japanese version? I'm more than happy to just have it there on my shelf. Okay, over to the Super Famicom now. And first of all, Final Fantasy VI. First of all, I want to say as well, these boxes for the Super Famicom, so cool. Like, it just gives me that kind of VHS tape of the 90s kind of feel. Love the artwork, love the feel of it. 1,800 yen, so still fairly expensive for what many people consider to be the best Final Fantasy in the entire series. I saw it, couldn't say no. Final Fantasy VI, how can you say no to something like that? No way. And doesn't take up much space in the bag either, so it's a win-win right there. So happy I found that. As was I happy finding the Super Famicom version of Chrono Trigger. Again, I saw it, couldn't say no. 2,300 yen, so still fairly expensive, which is around about 14 quid, I believe. But hey, it's Chrono Trigger, why not? And hey, if you want it in the West, you're going to be spending a heck of a lot more, so I'll take the Japanese version for my own collection. I really don't care that it's in Japanese. Okay, next up, now this one was really cool. I mean, I'm playing through the series as we speak at the moment, but I saw the entire set and I had to get it, especially considering how expensive Episode 3 is. The full Xenosaga trilogy right here. Funnily enough, Episode 3 is still the most expensive at around 1,600 yen, but that's a far cry from the £200 you'd be spending if you wanted it in the West. So Couldn't say no to that. Love me some Monolith Soft, and loving Xenosaga so far. I'm currently on episode 2 at the moment. Hopefully I'll be finishing that sometime soon, but you know, with the amount of games we've got coming out, I'm not so sure at the moment how I'm going to find the time, but hey, I'll find a way. Next up was Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. Now, unfortunately, the Japanese versions of GameCube games normally come with an outer box. This one did not have the outer box. It only had the manual, the map, and the disc. Maybe if I go back out there again, I might be able to find one with the box. Even still, it was still about 5,000 yen to buy this. I couldn't believe how expensive it was just for a game without the box and all that. But hey, Path of Radiance, you can't really say no. Obviously it has an iconic character in there, and Ike as well, and obviously parts of a duology with Radiant Dawn. So, nice find right there. Now this one, oh man, I was so happy I found this, to be honest, because it's increasingly difficult to find. It only released in Japan, and it's pretty much Atlus's take on Atelier. It's pretty much Atelier in everything but name. It is the DS release of Nora and the Time Studio. We don't have this in the West, we only have it via a fan translation, but it's a great little game, very cozy, can be finished in a couple of sittings, and plenty of replayability as well. And the whole idea of this is that Nora is a chronomancer in training. She goes basically into a forest to hone her skills, and that's pretty much the entire premise of the game. Really cool, nice turn-based combat, lovely art style with the alumni from Etrian Odyssey as well, very recognisable style, and great item. When I saw it, I had to have it, and I believe this was 5,000 yen, so even in Japan, still pretty expensive, but as soon as I saw it, I nabbed it right off the shelf, and it was mine for my collection. So great item there. And the last game I got, because the rest of them are basically all collections and stuff like that, Lunar Silver Star Story. Again, I saw this in Book Off, had to have it. Lunar, again, one of those highlights of that golden era of JRPGs. 1,500 yen, so still fairly pricey, but hey, it's Lunar, so why not? I do envy the people who do have the limited edition of this game. I believe a friend of mine in Japan does have this too, but I'm happy to just have a physical version of it, even if it is from Japan. Okay, moving on. Now we're moving on to some bigger collections here, but first of all, we'll go over some Falcon related stuff. Now first, again, I found this in a Suragaya, Dragon Slayer, pretty much the progenitor of the Trails and East series and what they eventually became, pretty much the archetype of what action RPGs eventually became, the legacy attached to Dragon Slayer. Hey, dude, you see it, you gotta have it, and that's exactly what I did, so boom. Now moving on to some more Falcon related works, dude, I had to as soon as I had it. I've never played them, but I had to have them. The entire Gagarv trilogy, the progenitors to what would eventually become the Trails series. I mean, you got Prophecy in the Moonlight Witch there, Tear of Vermilion, and Song of the Ocean. Song of the Ocean in particular, I only saw this once while I was out there, and unfortunately, like, the condition of this one isn't too good. They do these little rankings at the bottom here to basically say what condition the items are in, but hey, it's still a physical copy of Song of the Ocean, especially to have the full trilogy right here. I realise that Tear of Vermilion isn't as rare, and neither is Prophecy of the Moonlight Witch to a certain point, but this one here, very happy to get. And I mean, if I'm going to get that one, I'm going to get all three of them as well, so hey, great item to have, especially as a fan of Falcon. Okay, moving on, another PSP game here, and it is for Trails in the Sky First Chapter, and I kind of bought this one on a whim. It's only 270 yen, and I kind of made a little bit of a mistake, because what I did eventually is I bought myself the full collection of the games. So that's Trails in the Sky First Chapter, Second Chapter, and the third in a boxed set for 2,000 yen instead. So this one here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in a giveaway for my amazing S-Rank patrons. Shameless plug there for my Patreon if you want to check it out, but that will be for them. I will put this into a random draw for my S-Rank patrons before the year is out. Probably send it with the Christmas cards as well, which are currently in the pipeline too. So cool items there. Next up, the Evo versions of Trails from Zero and Trails to Azure in this little box set. I believe these are either acrylic stands or minifigures or something like that. I never got those ones. It only came with the box and the Evo versions of the games. But hey, these ones are actually surprisingly expensive, and I saw the Sky version as well for about 20,000 yen. I was half thinking about getting it, but hey, it was gone the next day, so there's definitely a market for them. But happy that I got myself Trails from Zero and Asia in this little box set, especially the Evo versions as well, which are becoming increasingly scarce. Now, another thing I found in Book Off, Trails of Cold Steel 2 with the drama CD. This is pretty cool. Obviously, the drama CD is a pretty big part of the game, which is like sort of omitted from the main story. But this one does come with that drama CD right there. So if you do want to kind of like listen to it or see it in all its glory, it's there in physical form. So yeah, great little item there. This is the PS3 version as well. So as soon as I saw it, it's Cold Steel 2, it's Trails, I had to have it. And speaking of Trails games that I had to have, well, dude, Trails in the Sky second chapter, Evolution, the limited edition for PS Vita, yeah, it's 11,000 yen, but I could not say no to this, dude. You get the game, you get, I believe, some sort of DVD in there as well, and an art book, and obviously this little collector's box as well. I did have a little bit of a look inside to see what is there. I was very, very happy to have this. So yeah, well worth the money. 11,000 yen, which is about 70 quid, maybe, I think, in this current market. Well worth it for Trails in the Sky second chapter, which is in my personal top 3 games in the entire series. Okay, moving on. Now we're getting into a lot of limited editions. First of all, the Persona 5 20th Anniversary Collection. This collection, really cool. This is for the base game of Persona 5. It comes with like CDs and I believe an art book and all this kind of stuff. I'm going to show that to you guys as well. Very cool item, very happy to have this. This was in a Book Off as well for only 5,000 yen as well, so I could not pass that up. Probably because like there's loads of them going around because it is Persona 5, probably the game that puts Persona on the map. And yeah, when I saw it, had to have it. It's quite heavy as well, so bear that one in mind. But you know, if you ever do go to Japan, you might find this one yourself. They seem to be fairly common. Alright, next up, and this one, dude, I was so happy that I found this. Like, I've read about it, I've never actually seen a physical version of it, but it is the PlayStation 2 version of Ys 1 and 2. So basically, I think it's released in 2006, maybe? I can't remember fully, but you get the PlayStation 2 version, and it was released by DigiCube. So this limited edition comes with the game, the PlayStation 2 version of Ys 1 and 2, which I believe are the complete versions, so it added a few things from the base game. But it also comes with this diorama with these bottle caps of Adol, Rhea, Fina, and Lila. I can't remember who the name of her is, to be honest, but dude, such an awesome item to have. Unfortunately, the box itself was a little bit like warped and stuff like that, but when I saw it, I had to have it. This only came to around about 8,000 yen in total. Such a rare item. I've never seen this before. You're probably not going to see it in the West, and well, I mean, you won't see it in the West because it only released in Japan in the first place, but very happy I found that. Such a unique item as well, like that whole diorama with the bottle caps, with these like depictions of the characters. Dude, how can I say no to that? How can I say no to that? Such a cool item. Super happy I found it. Okay, so we're starting to round out now. I know this is a very long video, but next one, the PS Vita version of Atelier Rorona, the first game in the Ireland trilogy, or the Ireland tetralogy now, I guess you can say. But very cool item. It comes with, I believe, a skin for your Vita. Comes with a game, obviously, and a little crystal as well, a little crystal miniature or whatever it is, and that's what gives it basically all of its weight. So, nice little item there, 1,700 yen, so not bad at all. And then the next thing, we move over to Ryza now, and it is these rubber desk mats, and I didn't buy this. I actually won this at a game centre on one of the UFO catches. Back when I used to live in Japan, I was pretty big on the UFO catches and stuff like that. I kind of curtailed it a little bit while I was out there for my own benefit. But as I was leaving Akihabara for the last time, I saw this in a game centre, and I was like, you know what, let's try and win this. And after about 800 yen, I managed to win this item. Now, Unfortunately, you don't get both of the rubber mats here, you only get one of them, and that's depicted with this little sticker here to show which one's inside. So it's based on the Ryza anime adaptation. So the one that I got was pretty much Ryza just advertising the anime, which is very interesting. The other one was her in her swimsuit. But cool little item there, something that I dare say a few people probably don't have if they haven't gone to Japan. So, hey. Now the last two items that I got based on the Atelier series, dude. When I saw them, I knew they were expensive, but nah. I'm not passing these up. I'm not passing these up. Because they're so damn cool. First of all, Dusk Trilogy Premium Box. The Dusk Trilogy Premium Box, you get all 3 games. This is the PS4 version, so you get all 3 games. I believe you get an art book in there. You get some sorts of clear file set. Hey, I mean, this is so cool, man. For an Atelier fan, a modern Atelier fan, cannot say no to this. As could I not say no to the Mysterious Trilogy Premium Box as well. This one also comes with the games. It comes with a B2 poster, I believe, soundtrack, and these little art cards as well. These are just great little items to have, really are. Like both of these premium collections, I tried to find the Ireland collection, but the Ireland collection I think is rarer than both of these. Even now, this one here was about 14,000 yen. This one here, 15,000 yen nearly. So yeah, quite expensive. Finding the Ireland one, a bit more difficult to do, to be honest, but very happy I found those. And they did take up most of my bag, so that's why I had to kind of curtail my shopping right near the end of the holiday, because they were mostly taken up by these. But very happy I found those. Now coming up to the last 3 items, first off we have the amiibos of Pyra and Mythra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Now I don't really care much for amiibos, to be honest, but when I saw these, I had to have them. Again, I've never seen these in the West. Apparently fairly uncommon, not easy to find. About 3,600 yen as well, as amiibos are. They are quite expensive, but Pyra and Mythra from Smash Bros. Ultimate, yeah, I mean, why not? Very nice item to have. As is, now, the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Limited Edition sold out very, very quickly for a lot of people. As it did for me. I was not lucky enough to get one. So, if I can't find it in the West, why don't I find it in Japan instead? 15,000 yen, so still pretty expensive, but dude, hey, come on. It's basically exactly the same outside of the Japanese version of the game and the Japanese art book. And that art book is chunky, I'll tell you that, but you still get the game itself. You get this awesome collector's box, you get the steel case, which is very cool, and obviously that art book as well. And dude, I was as soon as I saw it, I had to buy it. It was one of the last items I found on my journey. I couldn't say no to this. Could not say no to this. I don't care if it's the Japanese version, I just want it in my collection. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, one of the highlights of last year for me, and very happy that I found this, especially with how quickly the limited edition sold out in the West, so awesome item. Now, the last item I got was for a figure, and I only was able to get one figure because there's only so much room that I had in my bag, but there are a lot of really cool figures out in Japan, like in these stores as well. I found a Cosmos figure, I found loads of Tales figures and Final Fantasy figures, but the one that took my eye was this right here. This Sakuna of Ryzen Ruin figure from Belfine. 10,000 yen for this? 10,000 yen for this? Dude, come on. I mean, the build quality alone, it looks amazing. The build quality alone looks absolutely amazing. 10,000 yen for this. I just couldn't say no. It got a little bit busted on the way back, the box itself, but in terms of the figure, dude, so good. I love Sakuna as well. I think Sakuna is one of the most underappreciated games in recent years. Edelweiss did a very good job. And when I saw this, I could not say no. I had to have it. I had to have it. And yeah, I'm so happy I got this. Like maybe in the future and stuff like that, if I do go back to Japan, I might get a few more figures. But in this case, this was the only one I got this time around. Very happy I found it, especially for that price as well. I think I was at a Mandarake when I found this one. It was just sat on a shelf, inconspicuous to the world, until I came along and found it. So yeah, there it is. But yeah, guys, that is it. That is the last part of the merch roundup. I'm just going to box all of this stuff up now. A lot of stuff that I managed to get. And maybe next year, if I go back to Japan, I will do another roundup like this. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next week. Don't know what I'm going to be doing, to be honest, because there's loads of games that we need to play at the moment. I hope you guys are enjoying the games you're playing too, and I'll see you next week. Peace.